Either you have music, or you have violence, or you have guns on the street. Music is an alternative.
In 1888, almost 5 years before Leeds became a city, Louis Le Prince, a Frenchman living in Leeds, filmed what are believed to be the world's first moving pictures. In the 106 years since these moving images were first seen, Leeds has been transformed into a major European city of culture. A city of dance, a city of drama, a city of business and a city of enterprise. But is Leeds the forgotten city of music?
I'd love to do it as a permanent thing. I'd really like to make music my living, but I just don't see the opportunity to get started.
Leeds is known for dance. The Phoenix Dance Company was formed many years ago. It's time for a new one. So we've got RJC, right? Soon they will be so professional, they won't be in Leeds any longer. So where is it coming from with the young people? Now, we are known for dance, but I'll tell you something. The music tradition of Leeds is stronger than the dance tradition, right? And we have found here, just with the gospel circuit in Leeds, it's quite an amazing sound.
I understand Leeds is a hive of music activity, of a kind I can't stand. I mean, it's frightful noise, but enormous numbers of people like it. They enjoy it. And it's great that it's happening in Leeds. And I've heard it said that just as Liverpool was a generation ago, very important, so Leeds is that kind of hotspot without the glitzy glamour that the Cavern and other things attracted.
The nightclub scene's regarded well, seems by the City Council, having its licences extended, and that seems quite exciting. That's been quite a very positive view of Leeds has come out of that in fashion magazines and the music press. And Leeds may be a centre of culture as a result of that.
When we had interviews and stuff, like NME and things like that, they were going, oh, so is Leeds the next happening place? And it's like, you have to look around and think, well, is it or isn't it? Because we live here and like, they're just saying that they can just hype it up, but they're not up here.
Well, I think that the interesting thing that I've noticed is that Leeds, certainly the council seem to be interested in making Leeds into a 24-hour city, inverted commas, you know, you can't do that without lots of artistic input, really. I don't think you can, you know, you can't just do it by opening a few cafes and presuming that everybody will sit outside and drink, I don't know, mocha coffee or whatever. You know, you can't just, that's not the only way to do it, because the things that make a scene like that are people making music, people, I don't know, making art, people doing those sort of things. And if you don't support that, all you will end up with is a load of expensive shops, clubs that are open till 6 in the morning, and a few cafes.
And tourists coming to look round and there being nothing for them to look at except cafes, which is completely pointless because then they won't come back.
There's a beautiful little underground scene going on in Leeds. We've already had Leeds scenes from the goth times and subsequently the rock kind of Leeds scenes from the indie stuff and the goth stuff. There's a pretty deep underground black music scene that has never kind of jumped out like it has from other cities. There's a lot of people in a lot of bedrooms making good jazz music, funk, hip hop. I think there needs to be a focus.
During the last decade, the councils of Kirklees and Sheffield have recognised the importance of using music and multimedia as an alternative to the more conventional forms of training.
The training we run is perhaps one of the major benefits. This is free training for unemployed people. We offer training courses, vocational courses in sound recording, music technology, journalism, radio, video and multimedia design. We've always been very careful to provide facilities that actually have, for which there's a demand, and we always try to work to high standards and actually provide a good service.
AVEC stands for the Audiovisual Enterprise Centre, which is a conglomerate term for a number of private organisations and public. Basically, there's the public organisations are Red Tape Studios, which is a recording and rehearsal studios owned by Sheffield City Council. And then we've got the private organisations like the 3 studios upstairs, Axis Studios, which is owned by the Concert Angels, Human League Studios, which is, as the name suggests, owned by the Human League.
Our group's the Human League, and we've been in this AVEC building for about 4 years now, and it's been really good for us because you get a community of musicians. So if we're, like at the moment we're making an album, and so if we want someone, say, to do guitar or something, there's always people hanging around here, so it's sort of like a really good community.
Every course we've run has been oversubscribed, always has been oversubscribed. The 52-week course one, we have 14 places, and we get on average of about 250 to 300 applications. Most musicians in Sheffield have a pretty sussed idea of what the music industry is like, because not only do we do training and rehearsing and recording here, we're also an information service. Last count, there's 25 studios in Sheffield, and that's sort of like within the city centre. I can name it's about 12 within 150, 200 yards of this place, and they're all 24 track.
I applied for a few courses, but due to complete oversubscribing, so I couldn't get on place, and there was like 15-20 people going for one place. It was just ridiculous.
And where were these courses?
Manchester. I applied for a course at Huddersfield, but the timing was all wrong and they wouldn't let me on.
The difficulty is that we have a lot of talented youth locally in the area. The social problems that they have to overcome, right, to attend university if they wanted to, or to even learn their craft at a professional level are very difficult. To get into the system, some of us are just not qualified enough because we left school early or whatever. So there are a number of mountains that we have to climb, and we don't get really great assistance. You know, you can say that there's access into schools and access into further education and this, that and the other. It doesn't work like that. First of all, we've got to inspire people to believe in themselves and to believe that they're wanted in these institutions. And then we have to deal with the institutions themselves to be able to accept us and deal with us as we are and not trying to change us into establishment figures.
What we've been doing over the last 4 or 5 years has been seeking to widen access. So anyone who is motivated has an opportunity to go and study up to the level which he or she finds appropriate for them. Particularly for students who are older, we class mature students, those over 21, particularly for mature students, where they've been around and they say they need to be doing something, where there is an increased motivation. We've operated the last 4 or 5 years a policy of taking those students, putting through various foundation courses, access courses, providing support for them in the early stages so that they can actually progress through the course.
Somebody's digging my potatoes, trampling on my vine.
Touchwood are myself, Andy, and Bruce here. Touchwood Audio Productions are, as you would expect, an audio production company, and we do everything from recording demos for bands to doing jingles for corporate companies, voiceovers, bit of digital editing. What else?
I was thinking it may be a good idea to say that we are musicians who have set up a studio rather than business people who have set up a studio.
Yeah, I mean, we originally set the studio up to demo our own material, but since the £500,000 record contract never actually materialised, we were forced into a position of opening our doors up commercially. I mean, I suppose also we were quite interested to do it, you know, I mean, it's a good way of
Making new friends.
We've been very lucky, I think, so far. We've managed to find people to back us. But it's always been a struggle, and I think it always will be in the music business, especially because of the north-south divide. That's always been a problem for us. But now we're bringing it up here, so hopefully things should get better as we go along.
If you're in London and you're unemployed, you cannot move. You're trapped, just geographically and financially trapped. You can't go out of your flat. In Leeds, you can be unemployed and you can develop something. You can still, there is still a possibility financially to move and to attempt to develop something to get yourself out of the rut. Leeds could be massive, or it could just dwindle away. And I think that very much depends on things like public funding and whether or not media as an industry in Leeds is actually encouraged. Like I said before, you know, you can get money if you're in manufacturing, but manufacturing is dead in West Yorkshire now. It's been dead for some time, and I mean, you're not going to be able to reflate the sort of industries that there were around here. You know, coal mining has been killed, yet it was massive. You know, you're not going to be able to reflate that. The powers that be, with the fingers on the pulses, with the hands in the money pots, should be recognising that, you know, media as an issue, as an industry, could be commercially viable up here in the north, in Leeds.
The Rolling Stones, Bruce Springsteen, Michael Jackson and Madonna have all performed in Leeds, but not everyone can attract an audience of 80,000. This meant that for many years Leeds was out of bounds to the bands and artists occupying the middle ground. But that all changed with the arrival of the Town and Country Club.
We've been in Leeds since end of October 92, sorry. So we've been here just over a year, about 18 months.
And why Leeds?
Because there didn't seem to be a venue of this size in Leeds. Manchester's covered, most other major cities are covered, and Leeds is supposed to be sort of the second major city to London, and yet there didn't seem to be anything to cover the market. We basically want to provide a venue that provides all types of music and all types of entertainment. We've got a basement which we're opening up soon, hopefully in late June, July, which we would like to sort of be able to provide a sort of platform for the smaller capacity bands, you know, maybe 300, 350 capacity. We don't really want to tread on the toes of places like the Duchess, because they've obviously been there for years, but we would like to be able to put on acts of a smaller calibre down there, which would hopefully be local acts as well.
I gave you everything I had in vain, and all I found was confusion and that bitter pain.
We've been playing together off and on for about 6 years now, and sort of concentrating more on it for the last year and a half. And it's very difficult, I think, if you're on the dole. You know, people find, I think you get a lot of stick for, if you're a musician, people don't think it's a proper job, and it is. I think if there was a centre in Leeds for people to come together, musicians to come together, and a few facilities, it would be really good, because it is very expensive. The places that we have practiced at, we've met a lot of other people, other musicians, and we've made a lot of contacts
as well, I mean, which is very important.
Yeah.
By working in other areas with other people, you get to make a lot of contacts, which can lead on to an awful lot of other things. I think a lot of it might be people just think that all the musicians do is sort of sit around and take drugs and drink beer and run around and don't do anything else. It's like, that's it, as far as they can see the side. All they ever see, the only product they ever see is them on the TV or playing at gigs and things like that. It's like they just think, oh wow, it's like fabulous.
It's more of a business for us at the moment.
Well, it is, yeah. I mean, it's...
Well, it always will be, I think.
Yeah.
It's taken 6 years for us to... We've just taken over this place at the moment. It's taken 6 years for us to get here to do this, and if there'd been something like that, I mean, we wouldn't have had to do this, but we'd have been able to get a lot further.
And basically, we're going to pay for this out of our gyros,
We've got to pay the rent on this and the rent on our homes. We've got to eat. We've got a van. We've borrowed the money to pay for that, to get about in, which is really important. I mean, basically, we're on the breadline, really, and if there was a music centre, then it would be great, because, you know, it's subsidised by the council. I mean, I can think of hundreds of people that would benefit from it.
To the people, this is detrimental. Former fundamental, many people might know us of. Bradford, we're a Bradford and Leeds based band which work from London, Nation Records. But at this moment things have kind of like changed over the years. We're back in a studio in Bradford and we're running things from here. Being out on the road was the most hardest and the most difficult years any artist could really face. The criticism of being an Asian person in the music industry is a new thing itself. And playing live and getting somewhere and people getting used to what you are and what your music is about was another thing. So it was difficult, very difficult in the beginning, but it's been 100% worth it. The reason we're not using studios in Leeds is because there isn't any facilities to cater for what we need. As musicians, many people can afford to hire a studio, but 99% cannot do that. Idle time is violence. When there's nothing happening, the only thing to do is go out on the streets, lay about on the streets, doing nothing, and then the person that lives on the streets is obviously something's going to happen on the streets, and this person's going to be involved.
From our perspective as within youth and community work, I think issues probably to do with more with young people in offending and setting up projects which directly tackle those issues is probably more of a priority. Maybe music and media arts is probably not that much of a high priority in terms of resources. Which is a shame, really, because I think that type of those type of projects would probably go a long way to getting young people involved in things that are positive and constructive, and give them alternatives to running up and down on the streets. And music, and for one, is very relevant culturally. I think the media is something that the black community needs to be accessing, and it needs to have more and a better understanding and more control of media, and because media is about information and information is power, and we need to be more involved in that and influence information that is put out generally about us, and we need to be reporting ourselves and informing the wider community about what we are and what we do.
We shouldn't be looking for handouts, but we can't. We have to start somewhere. We're not looking for it. We can generate our own money. We can generate our own art, but we've got to be given first a hearing, right? We must get some training, and we have to have a place.
If only black people are going to use that facility, I don't believe that is right. I believe anybody and everybody, white or black, Asian, should be able to get in there, get introduced. You know, the people that are running this organisation should be able to go out to people and say, we have a recording studio, we have the facilities, any talent on the streets, let's have it, let's make something. And out of 20, 30 artists, if one artist make it big, the whole community is in favour.
What I like about this concept is that it's reaching out to all that raw talent out there that really doesn't get the chance to be able to prove themselves. And I think this is one positive way in which we can give that talent the assistance that it desperately needs.
Within the university, we've accredited a number of such schemes, and the proposal that we're looking at now fits very much within our strategic plan of seeking to help and support within the community and accredit their experience of people on various training courses.
I think the arts is taken very seriously. There's a lot of funding for the larger, slightly larger institutions such as Opera North, the theatres and various drama organisations and so on. But at ground level, I think, in terms of getting talent off the street, those who maybe don't have access to such institutions, the College of Music and so on, there is a lot of raw talent out there, and I think it's high time there was maybe a bit more support for such a project as the one you're suggesting.
I'm absolutely sure that there is the need for the kind of thing you're talking about. I think it's absolutely essential that people with abilities, interests, are able to develop those abilities and interests and should not be prevented from doing so because of no money or because there are no facilities. So my view is, yes, it's needed, yes, it can happen, and if you and your colleagues really determined to make it happen, then I can see it happening in the not-too-distant future. It's a question of really getting your schemes worked out in detail and presenting them round, and certainly, as far as I'm concerned, if I can be of assistance to you, I promise that assistance, and it's not an empty promise.
There are lots of opportunities now, and they need taking up now. Over the last 10 years since I've been involved in the local band scene, music business in Leeds, there has been so much of the record companies down in London, they've been ignoring Leeds as a centre. Because there's not one particular place to go to see bands, there's not one particular contact for bands. If these things don't come together now, we could miss a really big opportunity, because people are beginning to move away from London, they're beginning to look towards other particular areas for new talent. We could miss out on the chance to be the next best place to London, to Manchester. We really could.
Bye.